This is the Spirit and Wellness Show. News and information from a higher perspective. With your host, Harry Wilkinson. Yes, hello. This is your host, Harry Wilkinson, and welcome to the Spirit and Wellness Show. This is the show where we take a look at the days and weeks events, happenings in the world, happenings internationally, happenings in technology, science, politics, all of it. Everything that we interact with or hear about on a weekly basis or a daily basis. And we take a look at it from a higher perspective. And from that higher perspective, we take a step back and we look at the world as we are creating it. We take the point of view that what we're seeing, what we're experiencing, and maybe in our own personal lives what we're interacting with, are our own creations on a much higher level, on the metaphysical level, if you will. And that we create these, activities, if you will, or you could call them maybe games or virtual reality scenarios or anything that you would like to do. We create them so that we can have certain experiences, and that ultimately we can reconnect to the truth of who and what we really are, and remember it. In choosing, I think, to experience things on the, for lack of a better word, human level, or maybe mundane or material level, by choosing to experiencing things that way, we are choosing to have a certain kind of, I hate to keep using gaming terms, but it really does fit. We are experiencing certain types of gaming experiences. And in making that choice, and again, I'm talking on the metaphysical level, a level that we're not aware of in our normal everyday existence, the highest level of ourselves, we've chosen to be here at this particular time with this particular set of rules or scenarios or what have you, and to experience what that's like. This isn't the truth of who we are. It's a reflection. It's like putting on a headset and creating an avatar that goes into this virtual gaming environment, if you will, and has these experiences. That on a larger level is what we are going through. And by going into them and actually recalling the truth of who you are, you change the scenario by taking energy from it. You don't do it purposefully, with intent to change anything, but just your very presence there, your very awareness changes the situation. So in looking at situations this way, we see that nothing is bad or wrong choice, or good or great. All of these things are values that we place on experiences. The experiences are the same, but we place certain values or images or make certain storylines around them. And when we do this, of course, certain things, certain ideas, words, actions can push buttons and make us feel like we're overwhelmed, make us feel like we're not in control, when all the time we are. So taking this step back and looking at these things from that higher perspective is really, and the reason I call it the Spirit and Wellness Show, it's really a wellness approach to life. You know, to keep you healthy, to keep your stress down, to keep you from being overwhelmed by that which is not real, false illusions. Uh, in taking this perspective, remembering who we are, remembering what's going on, what's really going on, can help pull us out of a lot of tension, a lot of stress, a lot of fear. You know, there's been so much discussion recently about the kinds of conversations people are having online, whether it be through social media or tweets, which our president apparently is quite fond of. And not only just the conversations we're having, but the tone and the tenor and the anger and the seeming division. And this has been sort of brought to light by tragedy this week, although it wasn't anywhere near as tragic as it could have been. But here in the Washington, D.C. area, we had an incident in which a shooter made his way down to a local ballpark here in Alexandria, Virginia, where some senators were practicing for the congressional baseball game that they have annually. They were Republicans. This man was apparently quite political and a Democrat and a progressive, and decided that he was going to shoot at these senators. And fortunately, no one died, but there were injuries, and one senator is still in the hospital, getting better. From last report I've heard, he's getting better. Still has a lot further to go, but is much more stable. So it could have been worse. It could have been, a real tragic day. Luckily, he was caught in time, and the damage that was done was limited. But this brings to light the kind of partisanship that is a big part of our political discussions today, and the animosity behind these things, and the seeming anger that drives them. Particularly, I can't even single anything out. It's not just social media. Even the people who are talking about these things are involved in perpetrating them. As nice as they would like to be about it. I mean, I've heard late night talk show comedians, expressing their sympathy for what happened in the shooting, and then go right back to really divisive kinds of language, and telling jokes that are not that they're not funny. It's just that they are rather pointed and rather they can be rather mean-spirited in some ways. And then there's the mean-spiritedness in remarks from some of the politicians, even our own president. So there's a tone in the world now, which has kind of caused concern. And the approach to understanding, because, when you hear about these things and when you listen to these sound bites, or you listen to certain remarks, they can often, as I say, push buttons. And if you can take this approach that I'm talking about, looking at these things from a higher perspective, you can bypass the button pushing aspects of these things and take a look at what have we really created here? What's really going on here? I've made the comment many times on the show, and I'll continue to do it, as regards people like President Trump. I think President Trump represents what Native Americans call Heyoka medicine. Heyoka medicine is a medicine that turns everything upside down on its head, takes traditions and upends them. A Heyoka shaman or a Heyoka warrior will come in backwards into a very serious meeting. Heyoka medicine people and Heyoka warriors are also known for, rather rude and scatological jokes and behavior. Anything that sends the typical or the traditional or the the usual approach into disarray. And they do this to help people take a look in the mirror at what they're doing, to reevaluate what's important and what isn't, and what they wish to preserve and what no longer serves a purpose. That's what Heyoka medicine does. Now, granted, Heyoka shamans and Heyoka warriors, in Native American tradition, they're quite aware of the power of Heyoka, and they're doing it purposefully. Whereas with people like Mr. Trump, it seems to just come, well, we'll just say naturally. But I believe it's a power, it's an energy that comes through a being or situation, and it doesn't have to be, called upon. It comes through. Those that are trained in Heyoka ways, Heyoka medicine ways, of course, know how to access it and use it more effectively than, might ordinarily happen. But I look at him and a lot of the things that are going on right now as part of that Heyoka medicine process. I've talked about how we're in a transition era. We are. And part of this transition era is that everything gets thrown into disarray. And then we have to regroup, reorder, and make decisions about what's really important and how we really want to be. And I think this is the process we're going through. And if you can take that step back to the higher aspects, in looking at what's going on in the world, and you can think about it that way, it'll make more sense. It'll make you feel more empowered, and it will ultimately, I think, make you much less anxious. So that's why I do it. I know it helps me. And so we're going to continue talking about some wellness therapies, as we started last week